In this video, we'll show you how to put images on a web page. So what I've done is I've created my notepad file with my basic HTML tags. I don't have a doc type in here. I'm not so concerned about that just now. Same with the XML namespace that you've maybe done in previous webs. We'll get more on that later when we talk about using a software package. For right now, notice we have the beginning HTML tag lining up with the ending HTML tag. Again, the ending HTML tag has a slash. That's how you know it's an ending tag. We have the head tag and the ending head tag, the title tag and the ending title tag. And I've sort of indented my code here. I think it makes it easier to read, and you want to make sure your beginning and ending tags line up, so it's a great way to do it. So I'm going to go ahead, what I've done also is I've created a folder structure, let's show you over here, called class 5, and just created a folder on my flash drive. And when you get in that folder, I'm going to create another folder called images, because we're going to put an image or two in there. And I actually have some images that I actually use in my web, so I'll try those. I'll just copy them over so we can play with them. Right, so we'll copy and come back over, and then the images, paste them in there. So then, in summary, just to take a look at what we have, if we did it on the view this side, take a look here, we have class 5, we have an images folder with 2 images in it, nothing, no web page yet in the root. So we're going to put our web page in here, default HTML, so let's give it a shot. So I'll save this as default HTML and make sure it goes into the flash drive, right? I've got my examples class, and then we'll just call it default. Notice in Notepad it wants to save it as TXT, right? And we have to make sure it's either HTML or HTML, right? There we go, like that, and save. Okay, now it's there, we have it. Now if we want to preview it in the browser, right, what we could do is just double click on it. I've got my browser set up to view it in Chrome, so if I go to Windows Explorer again and take a look at it, nothing should come up. Let's get some of these other things out of here so we can look at this. All right, so here we go. All right, so there it is. Notice image examples on the tab, right? That's what was in the title tag. All right, so the image tag is basically just this. It's img, and then you have to give it use the source attribute to tell the browser where is the image. Well, the image is in my images folder, right? And then what is the image called? Well, the image is called, or one of them is called what? Tractor. So let's look at tractor. So tractor JPEG, right? JPEG. And this should be in quotes, by the way, right? The other thing that you want to do with an image tag is put an alt tag, attribute on there to tell, for some reason if the image doesn't show, or depending if there's some sort of screen reader, it will, look at this alt tag and let people know that they can't see the image, what the image is about. All right, so now if I just save this, right? By the way, let's put a heading tag out here first, just so we can have a little bit of a boundary on where we are here. We'll put this out here, H3 perhaps, image example, right? And a closing H3 tag. Notice all my content is between the body tags, right? We can't have any content in the head tag that's going to be displayed to the user. And there's only one body tag per web page. So we'll go ahead and save this, right, and then refresh it. And there it is. There I am on the tractor, okay? So that's just how you put an image in your page. Now don't worry about moving it around or spacing it and lining it up. We're going to get to that later when we come talk about styles, so don't worry about that right now. Okay, so what I'll do then is let's put a horizontal rule over here so we can go to the next example, right? HR, and it has a self-closing tag, right? H3, horizontal rule has a self-closing tag. So now, what if I want to resize this image? Well, I can resize it in code with the HTML using the height and width, right? I can say height. I could use a percentage here if I want to use 10%. Right, I could just put a percent sign here. That would be really small. Maybe 50%. That's one way to do it. Let's try that. So if I do that, or I could put the actual pixels in there. So if I resize it, oh, okay, that's 50%. I'm not sure why that didn't work. Maybe quotes should have been 50% of the current image. And it still didn't work. Interesting. Let me try 10%. It should be in quotes there. Save it again. Save it again. There we go, and refresh. There we go. All right, that's a little bit better. All right, so you can see how you can do it that way. Or if you go back out to Internet Explorer, you'll see that we can look at the actual dimensions of our images. You can right-click on the column tab or the column bar and look for dimensions. If you don't see it, click on More, and if you come down here, you'll find dimensions. And this can be a handy way to figure out how big your images are. So the tractor is 320 pixels wide and 256 pixels in height. So maybe I want to scale it down a little bit. Let's just say I want to make it the height a little bit different. Maybe I want to make it, 100 pixels, or maybe I'll just take it in half, right? Make it 180 pixels, and then I could also put the width in there if I want as well, and set the pixels for that and scale it. All right. So that's how you can do that. All right. So then another thing you can do is if you want to make, say you want to make one of these images a, let's put back percent. Maybe you want to make, oops, 10%. I'll make it a hyperlink, right? So what you could do is you could come over here and you could say, oops, you can embed it in a anchor tag, right? href, and now instead of, maybe you want it to go to, I don't know, your favorite website. Maybe I'll go to Carol. cc.edu, right? Something like that. And now if I indent this a little bit, right? Instead of having text in the hyperlink, I now have an image in the hyperlink. But I need my closing anchor tag, right? So let me put my closing anchor tag here. And there it is. That's all I have to do. Save. And now when I hit refresh, you'll notice I get the mouse over here that if I click on it, I'll go to Carol's website. Alright. Presto changeo. Okay. The other thing you could do is, suppose I want to make it just go to an image. Well, instead of putting this here to go to Carol's site, I could go right to this, right to the image. And I could, you could use the target attribute if you want to bring it into a new window. But now, this is scaled at 10%, right? So let's say I had a thumbnail image and I want the user to see, when they click on the image, to see the full image. So if I do it this way, I can just have them go right to that image. So let's save that, refresh, right? And click here, and now it goes right to that image. See, you can look at the URL. Instead of a web page now, you see the .jpeg file. All right, so there you go. All right, so these are a few things you can do with images. All right, so you can play around, look at the textbook, and look online at the W3 schools and for more examples, and see if you can finish up the lab.